It's September 2000 and the public weighs in on the border marker dilemma.
The border marker saga continues. Last month, one of the markers was removed for repairs after cracks were formed on the base. Cracks caused by the red towers doing the border marker boogie. Now it's sitting in the city yard waiting for engineers to come up with a permanent fix. City engineers say local residents had a few suggestions.
Drill holes here, add fins there, all sorts of different ideas, but the bottom line is we're not going to do anything until we hear from the engineer.
But do Lloydminster residents really care about what happens to these towers of steel?
I think they were silly to begin with, and they still think they're silly.
Like my family's from out of town, so it's good for them when they're coming in because they're from northern Alberta. So you tell them to turn left at the border markers and head up to my avenue.
Some feel the money used to fix the border markers should be spent elsewhere.
It is a waste of money to me. That could be getting put into healthcare, education stuff for kids to go to after schools.
The red markers haven't twisted since May. City engineers are confident they won't pose any danger to the public.
The ones that are still standing have, from what we can tell, no cracks, no deterioration of any kind on the bases. So basically, they're not going anywhere.
City engineers say it could take weeks or even months before they find out what repairs are needed for the border markers and how much they're going to cost. In the meantime, Lloydminster residents will just have to watch the border markers wiggle in the wind. Cara Fullerton, NewsHour.
It's January 2001 and the city was adamant that the poles would not have to come down to be repaired.
One down and 3 to go. Border markers 1, 3, and 4 are slated to be fixed, but unlike number 2, city engineer Russ Coulombe promises they will stay standing.
When the base starts to show deterioration, like was the case in border marker number 2, then the consideration to take them down comes, and right now those 3 have not even a crack from what we could tell on the bottom.
One of the 28-ton border markers came down back in August, and it's still sitting in the city yard waiting to learn its fate.
We're waiting word from someone down east, from a university down east, who might be able to give us some guidance as far as a model is concerned, doing a wind tunnel model. We haven't heard back.
As for the remaining 3 border markers, what's happening to them is on Thursday and Friday, the support struts are going to be removed and replaced with new ones.
On the high portions of the border markers, 33 feet up and 66 feet up, you can see there's support struts that have been welded around the radius of the border markers. Those are showing some deterioration.
While the production won't be as elaborate as the one in August, there will be some traffic delays.
We're not sure how many lanes are going to be closed down while we're making the repairs. Chances are it'll be within a 1 or 2 block radius around the 44th Street and 50th Avenue intersection.
Officials are recommending motorists to find alternate routes around the area of 50th Avenue and 44th Street on Thursday as well as Friday. Anne-Marie Blackburn, NewsHour.
July of 2001 saw no end to the markers' problems, and it seemed legal action was the only recourse.
Since they were constructed over 7 years ago, these border markers have been plagued with problems. The monuments were supposed to be a tourist attraction and a marketing symbol for the city, but have instead become a giant headache, so much so that one of them had to be removed.
They've found last summer that they had some serious problems with one of them, and getting no relief and no satisfaction from the parties that installed them or designed them has led them to have to seek compensation through the courts or get some redress of some type, and that's what the city's attempting to do.
NewsHour attempted to contact Douglas Carlisle, one of the engineers named in the suit. He refused to comment. The city isn't sure if the problem is a design or a construction flaw. They only know they didn't get what they paid for.
That there seems to be no confidence that the structures will stand up for a long, long period of time the way the city envisioned that they were supposed to be designed to do.
In the meantime, officials say there is no immediate danger posed by the remaining markers, but they plan on finding a resolution to the problem.
There's a long-term commitment to having border markers, and we want to make sure that not only did we get what we paid for, that those things are safe.
Court Smith, NewsHour.
Later that month, a decision was made by City Council to take down the remaining structures.
You can't guarantee the safety in the long term. You're best to deal with the matter now, and our City Council is dealing with the matter.
They're three pillars of the community, symbolizing the border between Alberta and Saskatchewan. Already one of their mates was brought down in August of 2000, and 1 year later, after recent inspections by the city and engineers, the remaining markers are going into storage for further examination before they collapse due to environmental and structural problems.
The design and the advice we got may not have been the appropriate one.
Now that the decision to remove the markers has been made, Council is wasting no time. The markers will come down by this Monday.
Do you think that's soon? You're kidding. It must be serious. Really? By Monday?
Residents agree the $500,000 markers pose a safety threat, as they do the border boogie.
It's been very interesting being located right across from the border markers. When you get a northwest wind, they turn like washing machines. So you'd have to think that after 10, 15 years of washing machine turning, there's going to be some metal fatigue there. So I would assume that's why they made the decision to bring them down.
Waste is actually taxpayers' money. And they replace it with something else, unless it's better designed and better set up than what they had this time around. They just wasted money.
Sometimes, actually, because when it gets windy, I don't know, they cause quite a bit of havoc, I think, them swaying back and forth.
Well, I don't think they're safe to be up, personally. It'd be kind of a shame to take them down, but I think maybe a thing you have to. But the guys designed it, I think, made a mistake on it. I don't know. They should be able to do a better job, I think, for the amount of money that was put up.
The city does plan on bringing the markers back, but in a safer form. One resident has a suggestion.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have something there. I think a chuck wagon outfit would be better.
The city is suing the architects and builders of the border markers, but details are sketchy and being kept under wraps. Jennifer Palma, NewsHour.
In August of 2001, the remaining faulty towers are unceremoniously removed from their bases.
I just hope for the best that we're able to get something back on the border within a relatively short time and not years and years down the road.
They represent the sharing of one city between two provinces. But today, Lloydminster's three remaining border markers came down, a process beginning early this morning and meant to last until Wednesday. But due to light winds, the crane and crews moved swiftly, to taxpayers' delight.
The estimate to take them down was about $30,000, but obviously if it can all be done today with all of the equipment that's here, one long day would make it considerably cheaper.
Last August, border marker number 2 was removed due to safety concerns as it twisted in its casing. And 1 year later, the other 3 have been removed and are being stored for wear and tear inspections.
They're actually put in our yard and they're going to be protected so that they can have a detailed examination, and I mean really detailed, by the metallurgist and the structural engineer and all of the people that are appropriate to make informed decisions.
The removal of the markers has gained national media attention and raises the question whether or not Lloydminster needs the markers to represent its unique presence on the border.
Border markers, they're just a waste of waste because the taxpayers got to pay for it, and they don't represent anything. It's just on the border, that's all.
Happy. It's a waste of money, big time.
Well, I think it's good. I think there was a safety issue involved and that they did what they had to do, and hopefully legal process will return some of the costs that the taxpayer had to pay for this. Come back and maybe in a couple of years we'll see them up again.
It could be months or even years before Lloydminster sees its 4 border markers standing tall and proud again. Besides finding design flaws, the city has to settle a lawsuit between the architects and builders of the 4 troublesome poles. They also have to decide if they're willing to put them back up or come up with a whole new idea to mark the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. Jennifer Palma, NewsHour.
When we return, where the legal battle should be fought, on the border markers, a retrospective.